Psalm of the Absent Face, Part 1. The Void that is not empty. In the name of the one who was before the Word was, who is called Yahweh by the heirs of the Torah and the Gospel, and Allah by the inheritors of the Furqan, Earaman the merciful in severity, El Elyon the Most High who descends to the lowest pit. I speak from the place where justice is not seen, not from the place where justice does not exist. The absence of God is what the eye reports. The eye is a known liar. We look at the grinding of the nations, the triumph of the cruel, and the silence of the sky. And we ask the ancient question recorded in the 13th Psalm, verse 1. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? But the silence is not abandonment. The silence is a mercy dressed as a terror. If the face were to be unveiled now in the midst of our rebellion, we would be unmade. When Moses asked to see the face, the Lord replied in Exodus, chapter 33, verse 20, You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live. And when the Lord revealed his glory to the mountain, Surah Al-Af, verse 143 records, he made it crumble to dust, and Moses fell unconscious. The absence you feel is the distance required for your survival. Surah Ibrahim, verse 42 warns, Do not think that Allah is unaware of what the wrongdoers do. He only delays them for a day when eyes will stare in horror. And the Messiah said of the adversary in the Gospel of John, chapter 12, verse 31, Now is the judgment of this world. Now will the prince of this world be cast out. But that hour is his hour, not yours. And until that hour strikes, the world you inhabit is the throne of waiting. It has been arranged to teach the few what absence feels like, so that when the face returns, they will know the difference between a shadow and the sun. Part 2. The Hijacked Earth. Let us clear the ledger of a grievous lie. The physical world is not your enemy. Matter is not a mistake. The dirt is innocent. The rain is obedient. The flesh is a masterpiece crafted by the divine hand. The book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 31 declares, And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Surah As-Sajdah, verse 7 affirms, He who perfected everything which he created and began the creation of man from clay. Do not blame the timber for the cross. Do not blame the iron for the spear. Do not blame the earth for the borders drawn across it in blood. The world is not evil, but the world is occupied. The adversary did not build this house. He merely invaded it. He hijacked the beautiful machinery of the dunya and turned it into an engine of amnesia. When he was cast from proximity, he did not repent. He said in Surah Al-Araf, verses 16 and 17, I will surely sit and wait for them on your straight path. Then I will come to them from before them and from behind them, and on their right and on their left. And the Messiah named him plainly, the prince of this world, the father of lies. John chapter 8, verse 44 states, He was a murderer from the beginning, and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. You are not living in a world that has naturally forgotten God. You are living in a world that has been systematically hypnotized. The Apostle Paul writes in Romans chapter 8, verses 20 and 21, For creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption. The corruption is not in the soil, the corruption is in the systems. Surah Ar-Rum, verse 41 reveals, Corruption has appeared throughout the land, and see by reason of what the hands of people have earned. The evil one has decked the hijacked earth with promises and deadlines, with credit scores and diagnoses, with politics that pretend to save and algorithms that pretend to connect. All of it is the architecture of distraction, a curtain hung in front of the absent face, not to destroy the earth, but to make you worship it. Part 3. The trick of realism. Listen carefully. This is the trick that has taken more souls than war. The enemy does not come to the masses screaming blasphemy. He does not ask you to worship a statue of stone. He comes whispering, be realistic, be practical. That is just how the world works. The word realistic is the shackle he forges in the mind. He makes you believe that God's law is a beautiful theory for the afterlife, but a fatal liability in the marketplace. He makes you believe that honesty is a luxury, that chastity is denial, that patience is weakness, that trust in God is a fantasy invented by those who do not understand economics. This is the ancient lie. This is the lie that fell from the same mouth that told the first humans in the garden, recorded in Surah Al-Araf, verses 20 and 21. You will not die. Your Lord only forbade you this tree, so you would not become angels or immortal. He promised them what God had already given, and made them doubt the character of the giver. He is doing it still. Has God really said? That is his opening, always. He makes the human knowledge of markets and power seem older, harder, and more urgent than the knowledge of God. He makes the fleeting wisdom of the age seem wiser than the eternal. As it is written in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 19, For the wisdom of this world is foolishness in God's sight. As it is written, he catches the wise in their craftiness. Surah Al-Hadid, verse 20 warns, Know that the life of this world is but amusement and diversion and adornment, and boasting to one another and competition in increase of wealth and children. And what is the worldly life except the enjoyment of delusion? The devil's trick is to make you feel mature for accepting injustice as inevitable. He trains you to call your cowardice wisdom. He trains you to call your surrender common sense. Do not be deceived. The fool has said in his heart, "There is no God," declares Psalm 14, verse 1. And the greater fool says with his lips, "I believe," while his hands sign every document the kingdom of evil places before him, and his eyes call it realistic. Part 4. The idolatry of survival. When realism becomes your religion, survival becomes your God. You do not need to bow down to Baal to be an idolater. You only need to believe that your paycheck protects you more than your creator. You only need to believe that your political party can save you, or that your silence will purchase your security. The Messiah drew the line in the sand in Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon. Mammon is not just money. Mammon is the entire system of worldly security that asks for your ultimate trust. It is the taghut, the idol that exceeds all bounds. The Quran echoes this devastating truth, indicting the human obsession with accumulation in Surah At-Takathur, verses 1 and 2. Competition and increase distracts you until you visit the graveyards. You spend your life building a fortress of pragmatism, hoarding wealth, hoarding status, hoarding leverage, thinking these walls will keep out the decree of heaven. 1 John chapter 2, verse 15 commands, "Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not in them. To love the world is not to love the trees, or the oceans, or the taste of bread. Those are the gifts of Ar-Rahman. To love the world is to love the system of the world, to love the ladder, to love the hierarchy, to love the illusion that you are the architect of your own destiny." Part 5. The narrow door. The path you are on is not the path of crowds. It was never going to be. The Messiah commands in Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 and 14, "Enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." And the book confirms in Surah Al-An'am, verse 116, "And if you obey most of those upon the earth, they will mislead you from the way of Allah. They follow not except assumption, and they are not but falsifying." You must make peace with a terrible mercy. The masses are not secretly right. They are secretly lost, and they will drag you into the ditch with them, calling it community. They will call their blindness consensus. They will call their deafness harmony. A million voices agreeing on a compromise do not make it the truth. They only make it a louder lie. To follow the crowd is to volunteer for the slaughterhouse, simply because the slaughterhouse has a waiting room with comfortable chairs. But you are not called to flee to the desert. You are not called to abandon the earth. The Messiah did not pray for your extraction. He prayed for your preservation in John chapter 17, verse 15. "My prayer is not that you take them out of the world, but that you protect them from the evil one." You must walk through the narrow door while standing in the middle of the street. You must be the Ghuraba, the strangers. Islam began as something strange, and it will return to being strange, so blessed are the strangers. The door is narrow because it was built to strip you. It is too narrow for your reputation. It is too narrow for your pragmatism. It is too narrow for the approval of your peers. You cannot carry the empire through it. You can only carry your soul. Stand firm in the machinery. Do not let them call you sensible. Do not let them buy your amnesia. The face is absent, but the eye is open. Wait for the hour.